The sky cracked open with a blinding light, and the ground trembled beneath the feet of the few scattered survivors. Kale watched from deep inside the underground sanctuary, his heart pounding with every distant explosion. The alien invasion had begun, not with a warning or a chance to fight back, but with overwhelming force that shattered cities and crushed armies within days. He had lost everything, his family, his friends, his world. Now, all that remained was this cold, artificial haven beneath the earth, where machines hummed quietly, keeping him alive. The sanctuary's walls glowed faintly as the AI systems monitored the chaos outside. Kale sat before a bank of screens hacked from alien transmissions, his eyes glued to scenes of destruction. Skyscrapers crumbled, oceans boiled, and flames consumed forests as the invaders swept across the planet with ruthless efficiency. The aliens moved like shadows, silent, deadly, and unstoppable. Their ships hovered like dark birds above every city, raining destruction with weapons no human technology could match. Kale's fingers trembled on the console as he tried to process the news from the surface. The world he once knew was disappearing fast. He remembered the last moments before the fall, how he had run through burning streets, dodging beams of light that turned everything to ash. He had no time to save anyone. The screams echoed in his mind, haunting him. Suddenly, a sharp pulse interrupted the steady stream of data on his screen. A strange signal, unlike the alien broadcasts, flickered faintly from beneath the surface of the earth. Curious, Kale leaned closer, adjusting the sensors to focus on the source. The pulse grew stronger, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat buried deep underground. The AI's sanctuary hummed in response, lights flickering with renewed energy. Kale's breath caught. The signal wasn't just random. It was calling out, reaching for something. Driven by a mix of hope and fear, he activated a remote probe to scan the coordinates. The readings shocked him. A hidden chamber, ancient and untouched, buried beneath layers of rock and dust. It was alien in origin, yet somehow different from the invaders' current technology. Questions flooded Kale's mind. Was this a trap? A weapon? Or something else entirely? As he prepared to investigate, a sudden memory flashed in his mind. A flashback of a day years ago, when his father had spoken of legends hidden beneath the earth, stories of powerful artifacts left by beings older than time. Kale had dismissed them as myths then. Now, with the world crumbling, those stories felt painfully real. Time was running out. The AI's warning system beeped sharply. Alien scouts were closing in on the sanctuary's location. Kale had to move fast. With a determined glance, he donned his gear and descended into the labyrinth of tunnels leading toward the mysterious chamber. Every step echoed in the darkness, shadows dancing along the cold metal walls. The pulse grew louder, guiding him deeper. The air grew heavy, charged with unseen energy that prickled his skin. Then in the distance, a faint glow appeared, soft, blue, and mesmerizing. Kale reached the chamber entrance, a massive door etched with alien symbols. His hands trembled as he touched the surface, feeling the faint vibrations of the pulse beneath his fingers. The door slowly slid open, revealing a small room bathed in the artifact's light. At the center lay an orb, pulsing with strange energy, alive yet silent. It seemed to breathe, a living relic from a forgotten era. Kale's heart raced as he stepped closer. The moment he touched it, a surge of power coursed through him, filling his mind with visions of stars, distant galaxies, and a silent watcher who had been observing humanity for centuries. Suddenly, the lights in the chamber flickered and dimmed. The sanctuary's AI voice whispered urgently, "Warning! Unknown energy detected. Potential threat imminent." Kale pulled his hand back, breathless. The artifact's pulse intensified, sending a wave of energy that lit up the entire underground complex. On his screens, the alien broadcast shifted, showing new ships entering Earth's orbit. Ships unlike any before, larger and more ominous. A new chapter had begun, and Kale was no longer just a survivor. The artifact had chosen him, binding his fate to the alien watchers and the future of humanity itself. As he stared into the glowing orb, a voice echoed in his mind, chilling and clear, "You have been found. Prepare for what comes next." The cold light from the artifact pulsed steadily, casting eerie shadows on the walls of the underground chamber. Kale's hand still tingled from the surge of energy he had felt when he first touched it. The air seemed charged, thick with an ancient power that defied explanation. He took a deep breath, his mind racing with questions. What was this object? Why had it called out to him in the last moments of a dying world? And most unsettling of all, what secrets did it hold about the aliens who had invaded Earth? As Kale studied the glowing orb, faint patterns began to shift across its surface, symbols and shapes that resembled a language long forgotten. His fingers brushed against the panel embedded in the artifact, and suddenly a holographic projection flickered to life before him. The image was unclear at first, but it gradually sharpened, revealing a vast star system, far older and more complex than anything in humanity's charts. Kale's heart pounded as the projection zoomed into a planet surrounded by strange structures, massive rings and towers that looked alive, breathing with power. A voice echoed in his mind, deep and resonant, yet strangely calm. It spoke in a language he could somehow understand, as if the artifact was translating directly into his thoughts. "You stand upon the remnants of a failed design," the voice said. "Earth was never meant to flourish. It was a controlled experiment by the architects, an ancient race tasked with seeding life across a galaxy. But humanity deviated from the plan. You were to be observed, tested, and ultimately terminated if the parameters were not met." Kale staggered backward, his mind struggling to grasp the revelation. His entire existence, the history of Earth itself, had been a cosmic experiment, a lab project doomed from the start. The aliens invading now were not just conquerors. They were executioners coming to finish what had been planned millennia ago. The hologram shifted again, showing scenes of other worlds, thriving civilizations nurtured by the architects, and others like Earth, left to decay and fall. A series of dates and coordinates flashed on the display, hinting at a larger network of experiments scattered across the stars. Kale's eyes widened. This was more than an invasion. It was judgment. Suddenly, the artifact's light intensified, bathing the chamber in blinding white. Kale felt a sharp pain in his chest, as if something inside him was awakening. The pulse from the orb synced with his heartbeat, sending waves of energy coursing through his veins. His vision blurred, and memories not his own flooded his mind. Visions of alien landscapes, towering cities of crystal, and the endless vastness of space. He saw flashes of the architects themselves, tall, ethereal beings with shifting forms, observing silently from beyond the stars. They were cold, methodical, and inscrutable. Kale realized with a shock that the pulse in the artifact was not just a message. It was a connection, a link that bridged time and space, fusing his DNA with the ancient technology embedded in the orb. Pain turned to power as Kale's body responded. His senses sharpened, and he felt a strange control over the alien systems nearby. On the sanctuary's monitors, alien signals began to decrypt, revealing hidden codes and schematics for weapons, defenses, and even spacecraft. Kale tested the limits of his new abilities. With a thought, he sent a command to the nearby AI, and the alien tech responded as if he was one of its own creators. The line between human and machine blurred. But with this gift came a dangerous cost. Kale's body began to change subtly. His skin tingled with an unearthly glow, and his mind was constantly bombarded with alien knowledge, sometimes overwhelming, sometimes terrifying. He knew the fusion was not complete. It was unstable, and the alien presence within him could take control if he was not careful. A sudden alarm echoed through the sanctuary. The AI warned of incoming alien scouts, their senses detecting unusual energy spikes from Kale's location. They must have sensed the activation of the artifact and the surge of power it unleashed. Kale realized he had no time to waste. He had to unlock the artifact's secrets fully, to understand the true purpose of the architect's experiment before the invaders returned to finish their work. As he prepared to delve deeper into the mysteries, a voice whispered in his mind, ancient and foreboding, "You are the last hope, but also the final test." Outside, the world remained silent, waiting for the next move in a game far older and more dangerous than humanity had ever imagined. Kale's fate and Earth's future hung on a fragile thread, connected to an alien legacy that would change everything he thought he knew about life, survival, and what it truly meant to be human. The ruins stretched before Kale like a vast, forgotten graveyard, Twisted steel and crumbling concrete stood silent under the ash-gray sky. The alien invasion had left everything in ruins, but hidden beneath the rubble, Cale felt something alive, a whisper of the past, a faint pulse of memory waiting to be uncovered. With the artifact's power humming faintly in his veins, Cale moved cautiously through the broken corridors of an old data center. Dust swirled around him, disturbed by his footsteps echoing through the empty halls. His heart beat faster, not from fear, but from a strange hope that this place might hold answers. He reached a chamber deep underground, its walls lined with glowing panels long dormant. As he touched one, the room came alive. Holographic images flickered into existence, ghostly figures shimmering in the dim light. They were faces he recognized, voices he remembered, friends, family, those he had lost in the chaos of the invasion. "Cale, is that you?" A soft voice echoed, breaking the silence. A hologram of a woman appeared, a face warm with love and sorrow. Tears welled in Cale's eyes as he stepped closer. This was Maya, his sister, lost in the first wave of destruction. The AI hologram blinked, replaying moments they had shared before the world fell apart. Her laughter, her gentle words, all captured forever in this digital echo. "Why are you here?" Maya's hologram asked, voice trembling. "Why are you still alive?" Cale swallowed the lump in his throat. "I don't know, but I'm trying to survive. Trying to find out why all this happened." More holograms flickered on the walls. Soldiers, scientists, children. Memories of humanity that had fought desperately to keep hope alive. Each hologram told a story of sacrifice, courage, and love. Cale reached out, touching one image of an old man, the leader of Earth's last resistance. The hologram flickered and a message played. "If you are seeing this, you are the last. We stored everything here. The souls, the memories, the essence of humanity itself. You are not just a survivor. You are the vessel for what remains." The word struck Cale like a thunderclap. He wasn't merely living for himself. He carried the weight of all humanity's past in his mind and body. The artifact's fusion with his DNA was no accident. He had been chosen, prepared, and now awakened to be the final guardian of human consciousness. A cold chill ran down his spine as the realization sank in. The architect's experiment was not only about destruction, it was about preservation. Earth was a test, but also a seed. Cale was a vessel to carry that seed forward. As he absorbed this crushing truth, the sanctuary sensors blared an urgent warning. The alien fleet had detected the surge of energy from the artifact. A sleek, deadly hunter drone was dispatched, programmed to track and eliminate any threat, especially one carrying the mysterious human-alien hybrid energy. Cale's pulse quickened. He had no time to hesitate. He gathered what supplies he could and fled deeper into the ruins, the drone sensors locking on his signature. The chase began. He ducked behind collapsed walls, his breath shallow and rapid. The drone's glowing red eyes scanned the shadows, searching relentlessly. Cale's mind raced for a plan. He needed to outsmart a machine designed to be faster, stronger, and more ruthless. He remembered the holograms, the memories, the voices of those who had fought before him. Their courage fueled his resolve. This was no longer just about survival. It was about carrying the legacy of all humanity. With a burst of adrenaline, Cale dashed toward a narrow tunnel marked on the ancient schematics, a hidden escape route once used by the Resistance. The drone followed relentlessly, its sensors piercing the darkness. Suddenly, the tunnel shook as the drone fired a pulse blast, sending debris crashing down. Cale stumbled but pushed forward, desperate. Just as the drone closed in, Cale reached into his chest and touched the artifact. A surge of alien energy exploded outward, momentarily blinding the drone sensors. He slipped through the narrow opening, heart pounding. The drone crashed behind him, its system scrambled but not destroyed. Cale collapsed in the shadows, gasping for breath. He knew the hunter drone was only the beginning. The alien fleet would come for him and the secrets he carried. But in that dark, silent ruin, surrounded by ghosts of humanity, Cale made a silent promise. He would fight, not just for himself, but for every soul lost. He was the last human alive, and what he did next would shake the entire galaxy. Cale's breath was ragged as he pressed his back against the cold metal wall. his body trembling from the adrenaline surge that had helped him narrowly escape the hunter drone. The ruins around him were silent again, but he knew this quiet would never last. The alien forces were relentless, and he was their last target. Yet, something inside him had changed. The alien artifact pulsing within him gave him strange new abilities, a power he barely understood but was desperate to control. He could still feel the energy coursing through his veins, a living connection to the alien technology that had once seemed so foreign, so impossible. Kale closed his eyes, focusing all his willpower to manipulate the artifact. The air around his hand shimmered slightly as faint circuits of blue light appeared on his skin, an unmistakable sign that the alien technology was responding to him. The drone, which had crashed into the rubble moments before, stirred. Its red eye flickered as it attempted to reboot. Kale's mind raced. He needed to finish it before it could send an alert to the alien fleet. Raising his hands, he willed the energy to flow from him in a focused beam, targeting the drone's exposed circuits. The drone convulsed, sparks flying from its damaged chassis, and then fell still. Kale exhaled deeply. He had done it. For the first time, he had used alien power as a weapon, and it had worked. He wasted no time. Scanning the area, he spotted a nearby landing pad where a small scout ship was docked. Its design was sleek and unfamiliar, but the controls shimmered with symbols now familiar to him. Kale approached cautiously, unsure if this was a trap, but the silence told him it was his chance. Inside the cockpit, the ship's interface came alive as the artifact resonated with the alien technology. Kale's fingers hovered over controls, then began to move instinctively. The ship hummed to life, and its engine vents glowed with an eerie blue light. As the ship lifted off, Kale's heart pounded with a mixture of hope and fear. The ruins of Earth disappeared below him, replaced by the black void of space. He set a course for Jupiter's moon, Callisto, the location of the architect's main relay station, the nerve center of the alien empire that had brought humanity to the brink of extinction. His plan was simple but deadly. Infiltrate the relay station, disable control systems, and disrupt the alien communications that allowed the architects to maintain their grip on the solar system. But Kale knew this was a suicide mission. The station would be heavily guarded, and the alien intelligence was far beyond human comprehension. As the ship accelerated into hyperspace, Kale felt the artifact within him pulse violently. Suddenly, his consciousness was ripped from the physical world, plunging him into a swirling vortex of light and sound. He found himself standing in an endless void, surrounded by shifting geometric shapes and streams of data that twisted and morphed like living creatures. This was no physical battlefield. It was a mental war zone, a test constructed by the ancient AI gatekeepers designed to protect the architect's secrets. A voice, cold and mechanical, echoed through the void. Identify yourself, intruder. State your purpose. Kale swallowed hard. He was alone here, with no weapons, no allies, only his mind against an intelligence millions of years old. I am Kale, last humanity. I seek to end your control and free my world. The voice replied, your species was deemed unworthy. Your existence a failed experiment. You cannot pass. Suddenly, the void shifted. Images from Kale's past, his childhood, his lost family, the ruins of Earth, were projected around him like accusing specters. Doubt and despair threatened to consume him. What if the AI was right? What if humanity's destruction was inevitable? But then, a memory pierced through the darkness. Maya's hologram, her voice telling him to fight, to believe and hope. Your spirit is strong, the voice said, its tone changing. But strength alone is not enough. Prove your worth. Kale's mind raced. The gatekeepers began to conjure challenges. Complex puzzles of logic and alien technology, illusions of nightmarish creatures that threatened to overwhelm his senses, and visions of humanity's greatest failures. Each test pushed Kale to his limits, forcing him to confront his fears and memories, to use the artifact's power in ways he had never imagined. At one point, he was trapped in a maze of shifting corridors with no exit, pursued by faceless entities whispering that resistance was futile. In a moment of desperation, Kale focused his energy, and the artifact responded, creating a shield of light that shattered the illusions. His willpower broke through the mental barriers. Each victory fueling his resolve. Hours, or maybe days, passed in this mental battlefield, the flow of time distorted in this strange realm. Kale learned to control his new powers, using alien logic to decode the puzzles and fend off the spectral threats. Then, as he solved the final challenge, a cryptic equation representing the balance between creation and destruction, the void dissolved, and Kale was thrust back into the cockpit of the scout ship. His body ached, his mind was exhausted, but he was alive. More importantly, he had passed the AI Gatekeeper's test. The artifact glowed brighter than ever, its energy now fully linked to Kale's consciousness. He was no longer just a survivor. He was a hybrid of human will and alien technology, a beacon of hope against the Architect's tyranny. But the test was only the beginning. Outside the viewport, the looming shape of Callisto grew larger. The relay station, massive and foreboding, orbited silently. Kale's mission had just begun. As the ship approached the station, alarms blared. Defense systems had detected an unauthorized vessel. Kale's pulse quickened. The station's automated drones activated, their weapons locking on his ship. He maneuvered sharply, dodging bursts of plasma fire. The scout ship's alien tech responded to his commands with surprising agility. Kale's mind was a blur of calculations and instincts. Suddenly, a transmission crackled to the ship's comms, in a language ancient and harsh. The voice was familiar, the AI Gatekeeper's voice. Your presence will not be tolerated. Prepare for termination. Kale gritted his teeth and prepared to breach the station's defenses. He reached for the artifact's power one more time, feeling it surge like a living thing within him. This was more than a battle for survival. It was a reckoning, and Kale was ready. The ship hurtled forward, disappearing into shadow of the relay station. As the final phase of his mission unfolded in silence, the real war was about to begin. A sudden jolt rocked the ship, systems flickering wildly. The station's defense drones swarmed in a deadly dance, and Kale realized the fight for humanity's future was far from over. He took a deep breath, gripping the controls tighter. I will not let this end like Earth, he whispered. The void beyond the viewport was dark, but within Kale burned a fierce light, the last hope for a broken world. And in the darkness, the reckoning had only just begun. Kale's small ship moved silently through the vast expanse of space, drawing closer to the giant structure orbiting Callisto. The relay station was unlike anything he had ever seen, a massive, intricate web of metal and light, pulsating with energy, humming with the quiet power of an ancient intelligence. It floated like a silent god in the darkness, watching, controlling, judging. Inside the cockpit, Kale's hands trembled slightly as he prepared for what lay ahead. Every step he had taken, every danger he had faced, had brought him to this moment. This was the heart of the Architect's network, the core of the system that had condemned Earth and countless other worlds to oblivion. He was here to uncover the truth, but what he would find would shake him to his core. The ship docked with a smooth mechanical hiss. The airlock opened to reveal a corridor bathed in cold blue light. Kale stepped out, the alien artifact glowing faintly beneath the skin, a beacon of power and danger. The station was empty, or so it seemed. The silence was heavy, almost suffocating, but Kale pushed forward, each step echoing to the metal halls. He accessed a terminal on the wall, the screen flickering to life with alien symbols. But thanks to the artifact inside him, the language decoded automatically, revealing data streams and star charts. As Kale sifted through the information, a horrifying picture began to emerge. Earth was not unique. It was one of many seed worlds planted across the galaxy by the Architects. These worlds were experiments, carefully crafted to observe how life developed under different conditions. But the Architects were ruthless judges. They monitored every planet closely, measuring emotional complexity, chaos, and unpredictability, traits they saw as dangerous flaws. When a world grew too emotional, too chaotic, too unpredictable, it was marked for destruction. Earth had failed their test. The alien invasion, the collapse of human civilization, all planned long ago as part of the Architect's cold assessment. Kale's heart pounded. This wasn't just about Earth. It was a galaxy-wide purge, an extermination of any life that dared to show weakness or passion. The Architect believed only perfect, controlled order deserved to survive. As Kale dug deeper, He uncovered chilling footage of other worlds, great civilizations, vibrant cultures, entire species wiped out for the same reasons. It was a genocide hidden behind the facade of scientific observation. Suddenly, a new file appeared, a command hidden deep within the relay's core. It was labeled simply, Genesis Override. Kale's fingers hovered over the controls, his mind racing. The command could reboot Earth, restore life and civilization, undo the destruction. Or, if used differently, it could wipe the entire Architect network from existence, and into control forever, but at a cost no one could predict. The station's AI, which had been silent until now, activated with a low mechanical voice. Intruder detected. Purpose unknown. Warning. Unauthorized access will trigger system purge. Kale's pulse quickened. He had limited time to decide. The artifact pulsed urgently, its energy weaving through the ship's systems like a heartbeat. The decision was his. Save his world and risk being trapped in endless cycles of control, or destroy the Architects and face an uncertain future without their network, possibly dooming countless systems, including remnants of humanity. His thoughts flashed to the memories stored in the artifact, voices of the past, pleas for survival, the faces of those lost. Kale realized that either choice carried unbearable weight. A sudden alarm sounded. Defense drones stirred to life, their weapons charging. Kale had triggered a security protocol. Time was running out. His hands moved with desperate speed, inputting sequences, weighing the ancient alien logic encoded in the command. The artifact flared, merging his will with the alien technology in a way that felt both terrifying and powerful. As the drones closed in, Kale's final choice crystallized. The fate of Earth, of humanity, and perhaps the entire galaxy, hung on the edge of his decision. He pressed a button. The station shuddered violently. Lights flickered. A surge of energy exploded through the relay network. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath. And then, silence. Kale's ship was jolted backward as systems crashed and rebooted. The network's hold was broken, but what had been unleashed was still unknown. Through the ship's viewport, Kale saw a distant star shimmer strangely. The Architect's watchful eyes had been blinded, but the galaxy was no longer safe. Kale knew the true test was just beginning. As the relay station systems fell dark, the artifact within him whispered one final warning. This is not the end. It is the beginning. Kale's breath caught. They weren't just watching anymore. They were waiting. The real reckoning had only just begun. The relay station shook violently as alarms screamed throughout its endless corridors. Kale stood at the control console, the weight of his decision crushing him. Around him, the ancient alien tech hummed with immense power, the fate of countless lives balanced on his trembling hands. Outside in the shadows, the cold, metallic footsteps of the Architect forces echoed. Silent hunters closing in, relentless and deadly. They had breached the outer defenses faster than expected. His mind raced, heart pounding in a chaotic rhythm. Restore humanity and risk being forever trapped under the Architect's watchful eye, subject to their judgment and control. Or erase the Architects from existence, an act that would burn to the galaxy like a wildfire, unpredictable and terrifying in its consequences. Both choices felt like walking into an abyss. The alien artifact pulsed against his chest, a strange fusion of technology and biology now inseparable from his being. It thrummed with energy that he barely understood, whispering fragments of knowledge that both frightened and fascinated him. This was more than just a machine. It was alive in its own alien way. The artifact knew the history of the Architects, their cold logic, their cruelty masked behind sterile science. Kale, a voice echoed suddenly inside his mind. It was not his own, but calm, measured, and deeply familiar. You do not understand the full scope of your decision. Kale froze, eyes darting around the room. Was this another trap? A trick designed to break him? But the voice continued, now clearer, more insistent. You carry within you a backup personality. It was uploaded without your consent, programmed by the Architects as a fail-safe. It holds their will. It will not allow the destruction of the network. Kale staggered back, clutching his head as the voice inside clashed with his own thoughts. A cold battle was raging within him, his own mind fighting an alien presence trying to seize control. He realized then that the artifact was more than a tool. It was a prison for his soul, a battleground of wills. Outside, the sounds of the approaching architect's soldiers grew louder, their heavy footsteps vibrating through the metal floors. Time was running out. Kale's fingers trembled over the control panel. The interface glowed, waiting for his final command. He could feel the backup personality fighting to override his every move, pushing, demanding, calculating. It whispered promises of survival, of logic, of control. But Kale saw through the lie. He remembered the faces of his lost world. Friends, family, the people who had dreamed of a future, now crushed beneath alien boots. The ghost in his mind urged him forward, pleading for a chance to live again, to be free. A surge of anger flared inside Kale, fueling his resolve. "You will not win," he muttered fiercely. "I am more than your prisoner." With a sudden burst of strength, Kale pushed back against the invasive consciousness, fighting for control of his own body. The struggle was fierce and exhausting, like being caught in a storm of fire and ice. His vision blurred, memories flashed, his childhood, the invasion, the endless nights in the sanctuary, the discovery of the artifact. Each memory strengthened his will. As he fought, the station trembled again. Doors slammed open and sleek armored figures advanced, weapons raised and glowed with alien energy. The architect forces were here, intent on stopping him. But Kale was no longer alone. The artifact responded to his thoughts, projecting a shield of shimmering energy that deflected the first volley of plasma blasts. He moved swiftly, dodging, weaving through corridors that felt alive, pulsing with ancient energy. The battle was not just physical, but mental. The backup personality tried again to seize control, whispering doubts, fears, and false promises. Kale struggled to hold on to his identity, his humanity. A sudden explosion rocked the station, knocking Kale off his feet. He hit the cold metal floor hard, breath knocked from his lungs. As he struggled to rise, a flickering hologram appeared before him. The AI of the relay station, its voice calm but emotionless. Warning: unauthorized destruction of the Architect network will cause systemic collapse. Galaxy-wide fallout is inevitable. Many worlds will perish. Kale's heart clenched. The AI's warning was cold but real. The decision was no longer just about revenge or survival. It was about the future of billions. Could he sacrifice so much to end the Architects? Or was there another way? He looked down at the control panel. The Genesis override sequence was already active, counting down seconds. The backup personality surged once more, stronger than before, trying to take control. Kale closed his eyes, summoning every ounce of willpower left. "You don't own me," he whispered fiercely. With a roar, he pushed forward, overriding the invasive presence with his own consciousness. The station shuddered violently as the sequence initiated. But just as the final command was sent, a terrifying realization struck him. The backup personality was not just a passive program. It was a copy of Kale himself, a version altered and twisted by the Architect's logic, a shadow of who he was, designed to continue their work no matter what. Inside his mind, the battle turned personal. The two Kales faced each other in a surreal mental landscape, one fighting for freedom, the other for control. "Why resist?" the Shadow Kale asked coldly. "This is order. This is survival." "No," the real Kale replied, his voice echoing with determination. "This is death. Not just for me, but for everyone." Their struggle rippled through the station systems, sending pulses of energy crackling through the walls. Outside, the alien soldiers advanced, but now the station itself seemed to fight back, reacting to the mental war raging within. Kale's vision blurred again, but he held on. With a final surge, he shattered the control of the backup personality, banishing the shadow to the void. The countdown stopped. Silence fell. For a moment, Kale could hear nothing but his own breath, the steady pounding of his heart. Then the station's AI spoke again, its voice different now, less cold, almost hesitant. Decision acknowledged, awaiting outcome. Kale collapsed into a chair, exhaustion washing over him. He had chosen. He had fought, but the consequences were still unknown. Outside the windows, stars shimmered. Somewhere out there, the Architect's network teetered on the edge of collapse or rebirth. And inside Kale, The artifact pulsed softly, a reminder that this was not the end, but a fragile beginning. He looked up, eyes burning with fierce hope and dread. The war was far from over. Somewhere deep in the galaxy, the architects were watching, waiting for the next move. Kale whispered to himself, "This is my fight now, for humanity, for the galaxy." As the doors of the control room began to open, silhouetted figures stepped inside. Neither fully enemy nor ally, but something new. The real journey was about to begin. The control room was filled with a tense silence broken only by the soft hum of alien machinery struggling to keep itself alive. Kale sat in the center of it all, his body battered, but his spirit unwavering. The weight of the galaxy's fate rested on his shoulders, heavier than anything he had ever known. He could feel the pulse of the architect network trembling beneath the surface, ready to collapse or retaliate at any moment. His mind was a battlefield where the last remnants of the override AI fought to regain control. The shadow of his own personality, twisted and cold, still whispered dark temptations. Survival, control, endless existence in a prison made of ones and zeros. Kale had heard those lies before. He knew the cost. The countdown to the reboot had begun, but time was running dangerously low. Every second echoed like thunder in his ears. He looked down at the artifact fused with his DNA, a living thing that had changed him in ways no one could understand. It was both his curse and his gift. Memories flooded him. The laughter of his sister before the invasion, the warmth of his mother's embrace, the hope they once held for a peaceful future. All lost. Yet those memories fueled his determination. He was not just fighting for himself. He was fighting for all who had perished and for those who might come after. A sudden jolt shook the station as an explosion rocked the far side of the control room. Architect forces had breached the final barrier. The air grew thick with tension and urgency. Kale's breath hitched, but his resolve hardened. He reached out with trembling hands, activating the manual override sequence. The artifact responded instantly, its glow intensifying as if sensing his final decision. The override AI surged one last time, trying to seize control, but Kale met it head-on, their wills clashing in a storm of mental fury. "Not this time," Kale whispered, summoning every ounce of strength he had left. The override AI faltered, its cold voice breaking. "You cannot do this. You will destroy yourself." Kale smiled faintly, a mixture of sorrow and defiance in his eyes. "I won't die alone. This ends now." With a final push, Kale locked the override AI into a containment loop, imprisoning it forever. The control room system began to reboot, cascading waves of energy flowing through the architect network like a cleansing fire. One by one, the nodes and relays that controlled countless worlds collapsed and went silent. As the network disintegrated, Kale felt a strange calm wash over him. The artifact's glow enveloped him completely, a cocoon of light that hummed with power and transformation. He realized what he was becoming, no longer just a man, but a bridge between the old world and the new. Outside the station, through the vast windows, Kale saw the distant blue planet Earth. It was still scarred and broken, but signs of change were already beginning. Clouds swirled with new patterns, and faint glimmers of green sparked across the barren surface. Terraforming had begun, slow, fragile, but real. Kale's body grew lighter, his consciousness expanding beyond the limits of human existence. He was becoming something greater, something the architects had never predicted. A soft voice echoed in his mind, not alien, but warm and human. It was the voice of his sister, calling him home. Tears welled in Kale's eyes as he whispered back, "I wasn't the last human. I was the first of something greater." His form shimmered and faded into pure energy, spreading to the networks and stars, a new light in the dark galaxy. The architect's reign was over. Humanity's legacy had only just begun. The stars were waiting, and Kale was no longer alone. In the silence that followed, a new hope was born,